Welcome back to Cover Up or Conspiracy. Today we dive into one of the most mysterious chapters of modern history, the link between the world's fairs, the great fires of major American cities, and the possibility of a lost civilization known as Tartaria. Were these fairs simply cultural celebrations of progress, or were they elaborate cover stories to erase an ancient society and its incredible architecture? Stay tuned as we explore both sides of this controversial theory, and by the end, you can decide, was it a cover-up or a conspiracy? Let's begin with the mainstream version of events. The World's Columbian Exposition of 1893 in Chicago was a celebration of the 400th anniversary of Columbus's voyage. The fair brought together cutting-edge technology, breathtaking architecture, and cultural displays from across the globe. The crown jewel was the White City, an astonishing collection of neoclassical buildings designed by top architects. According to history, these buildings were temporary, constructed from wood, plaster, and cheap materials, then demolished after the event. The fair also introduced innovations like electric lighting, the Ferris wheel, and modern urban planning. It was, officially, a triumph of 19th-century ingenuity and optimism. But here's the catch. Critics argue that the official story doesn't fully explain the speed, scale, and grandeur of what was built. And this is where the Tartarian theory steps in. Alternative historians and researchers claim that these architectural wonders weren't temporary structures at all. Instead, they argue that many of these massive, ornate buildings were already there, remnants of a lost civilization often referred to as Tartaria. The theory suggests that rather than constructing the White City from scratch, the fair organizers simply refurbished existing buildings, presenting them as brand new. This would explain why such monumental architecture, supposedly built in just 2 years, was destroyed immediately after. If these structures were remnants of a prior civilization, their demolition could be seen as an attempt to hide the truth. Some even claim the fairs weren't just cultural exhibitions, but ritualistic events. Whispers about human sacrifices and occult ceremonies taking place at the Columbian Exposition have surfaced, though evidence is speculative. Still, the eerie aura surrounding the fair, with its mysterious fires, strange statues, and allegorical displays, fuels suspicion that the story we've been told isn't the whole truth. Now let's look at what happened before many of these fairs. Chicago's fair came just 22 years after the Great Fire of 1871, which destroyed vast sections of the city. Official accounts blame a combination of dry conditions, wooden buildings, and high winds. But skeptics argue the fire was too perfectly timed, conveniently clearing land for the White City to later rise. Chicago wasn't alone. The Great Boston Fire of 1872, the San Francisco fires of the late 1800s, and even the Baltimore Fire of 1904 preceded major urban rebuilds and fairs. Were these catastrophic events simply coincidences? Or were they orchestrated resets, wiping out Tartarian remnants to make way for a new narrative of progress and industrial might? The rapid emergence of ornate expositions after such devastating fires adds weight to the conspiracy view that fire was used as a cover-up tool to rewrite history. To be fair, mainstream historians push back hard on these claims. They argue that the buildings of the world's fairs were clearly documented as temporary constructions. Photos show the plaster crumbling just years after the Chicago Fair, and fires were tragically common in 19th-century cities due to wood construction and poor firefighting infrastructure. But let's play devil's advocate. If there truly was a global civilization like Tartaria, wouldn't the easiest way to erase it be through carefully staged disasters? Fires can destroy records, artifacts, and buildings, and history can be rewritten by those in power. So are we looking at random disasters and ambitious construction projects? Or is there a deeper layer, a deliberate effort to cover up humanity's forgotten past? The story of Tartaria and the world's fairs sits at the crossroads of history and conspiracy. On one hand, we have an official narrative of progress, innovation, and celebration. On the other, we have a pattern of catastrophic fires, suspiciously advanced architecture, and whispers of hidden rituals. Whether you believe the world's Columbian Exposition was a triumph of human creativity or a carefully orchestrated deception, one thing is clear. The questions it raises are worth exploring. Could there have been a lost civilization, erased from history by fire and spectacle? Here at Cover Up or Conspiracy, we don't claim to have the final answer, but we encourage you to think critically and ask yourself, was it all coincidence, or was it a cover-up? If you found this video thought-provoking, hit like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment below. Do you think Tartaria was real, or is this just a fascinating conspiracy theory? Until next time, keep questioning the past.